We drive down the road every day and see people standing on the corner, cardboard signs in their hands, worn clothes, faces marked with years of struggle. And for a moment, something tugs at our hearts. But then, the mind starts to speak. I'd help, but he'll probably waste it on alcohol or drugs. Or, it's not my problem. And just like that, we drive on. And most people do it. We make excuses because it's easier than compassion. But deep down, we know those excuses are not of God. They're of comfort. They protect our own sense of ease, not the person in front of us. And when Jesus walked the earth, he never once said, I'll help you if you deserve it. He didn't ask the leper how he got sick. He didn't ask the blind man what caused his blindness. He didn't tell the hungry crowd to go find jobs before he fed them. No. He simply saw them, he loved them, and he helped them. And in Matthew 25, verse 35 through 40, Jesus said something so powerful. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. See, that's not just a command. That's a mirror. Because the truth is, when we see someone on the corner, we're seeing an opportunity to love Jesus himself. Think about that for a second. What if it were Christ standing there, tired, hungry, dirty, unnoticed? Would you just drive by? Would you justify your inaction? Or would you step out, and meet him with compassion? You see, helping the less fortunate isn't always about handing out cash. Sometimes it's about handing out dignity. Maybe it's a hot meal. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's just looking someone in the eye and saying, you matter. Because when a person feels invisible, being seen can be the beginning of their healing. And sometimes people in this world are just hanging on by a string. You never know when you're the string. And when you show kindness to someone who can never repay you, that's when you're most like Christ. When you love without conditions, you mirror the very heart of God. We live in a world that teaches self-preservation. When I started this channel, that's all I talked about. Guard your time, guard your money, guard your heart. But then faith came into my life. And faith teaches the opposite. Faith says, give, and it shall be given unto you. Faith says, love your neighbor as yourself. Faith says, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap a harvest. Now, that man on the corner might be fighting a battle you can't see. Addiction, loss, trauma, mental illness. Maybe he's a veteran who's seen more pain than you could possibly imagine. Maybe she's a mother who lost her children. Maybe they've lost faith in everyone, and you, just you, could be the reminder that God hasn't forgotten them. So, before you pass them by, pause and ask God, how can I show your love right here, right now? Maybe he leads you to pray. Maybe he leads you to give. Maybe he simply leads you to smile. But whatever he leads you to do it with compassion. Because one day, when you stand before God, he's not going to ask how many times you passed by. He's going to ask how many times you stopped. The corners of our cities are more than intersections of concrete and traffic. They are intersections of calling and compassion, places where heaven whispers to our hearts. Will you love them like I loved you? So let's look again at the corner. Let's look again at the man we used to overlook. Let's look again and see Jesus waiting there. Because in the end, we are never more like Christ than when we choose mercy over judgment, compassion over excuses, and love over fear. Truth. God bless you, my friends.